Hey guys, this is Nora again. Welcome back to another video of Piano Basics. Hope you guys had a wonderful week. In previous videos, we talked about scales and we said that there are three parts or essential parts that we need to learn in order for us to understand scales better. And these three things are the key signature. We talked about key signature and that key signature is different than accidentals. We have a different order of sharps and flats. And we talked about scale degrees, and as you can see on the screen, scale degrees are tonic, supertonic, median, subdominant, dominant, submedian, leading note, and octave or tonic. And I'll be using those every time we talk about scales or chords. And last but not least, we talked about tetrachords. I'll be using tetrachords in today's lesson as well. So today's lesson will be an intro to scales, and then I'll be talking about some, let's say, basic and common types of scales. So if you're ready, then let's get started. A scale basically is a pattern or a sequence of notes that they go in order, and they basically go up the piano, and that's what we call ascending, and then they go back down the piano, which we call descending. So now we have ascending and descending. Ascending basically is when we go up the piano from a lower pitch to a higher pitch. And descending is the opposite to ascending, is that when we go down from higher pitch to a lower pitch, this is a descending. So ascending and descending, okay? Now there are so many types of scales and modes. First, we will start with the most basic and common scales, and then later on we will talk about modes and other types of scales. So for now, let's focus on the chromatic scale and the heptatonic scale. First, let's talk about chromatic scale. So a chromatic scale basically is a 12-note scale. So it's a pattern that has 12 notes, and it's very, very easy to recognize it, whether you're listening to it or you can see it in front of you on the notes. It's very, very easy. So basically it consists of half steps, or we can say semitone. So just a quick reminder, semitone and tone are the same as whole and half steps. So as you can see here on the piano, for example, if I want to start on middle C, and then I can go a half step by a half step. So only semitones. So from C to C sharp, this is a semitone, right? And then from C sharp to D, this is another semitone. From D to D sharp, this is a semitone. And then from D sharp to E, this is another semitone, and so on. So we're just going by half steps. C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. Then we're going to F, or we can say E sharp. And if you noticed, since we don't have a black key here between E and F, this is a semitone, right? So we're going semitone by semitone all the way to the next C. This is a chromatic scale. So one more time. Now we're going back from this higher C to back to middle C. Okay, so that was the chromatic scale. One more time. And if you noticed, I was using my thumb for the white keys and my middle finger for the black keys. So thumb, middle finger, thumb, middle finger. Now here, because I have a gap here on E and F, I'll be using my second finger. So 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, and then I'll be using finger 3, middle finger again on the black key, then my thumb on the white key, and so on. I have a gap, so I'll be using my second finger. Good job. Now be careful. Some people, what they do when they reach the top, they play the last note twice. So don't do this because it's not the right way. The right way is to play the last note once and then you go back right away. So I'm going to go all the way up and then go back down right away. So that was the chromatic scale. So again, a chromatic scale is a 12-note scale, and we go by semitone or half step between every single note. Now, heptatonic scale. The heptatonic scale basically is a 7-note scale. So any scale with 7 notes, that's a heptatonic scale. And we have 2 types of heptatonic scale. We have the diatonic scale and then we have the minor scales. So a diatonic scale, basically, we can call it the major scale or we can say natural minor scale. Now, there are 2 patterns that we have to combine together in order for us to get a diatonic scale. If you remember, we talked about tetrachords. So if you combine 2 tetrachords together and you join them by a whole step, then you get a diatonic scale. So a quick example. If I want to start on middle C, C, D, E, F, we have to have 4 notes, 2, 3, 4 notes. And now let's check, do we have whole, half steps? So between C and D, there is a whole step, or we can say tone. And then another whole step. Then between E and F, this is a half step or semitone. So C, D, E, F, whole step, half. Okay, now we have a tetrachord. Now, if I get another tetrachord and then I combine these 2, then I get a diatonic scale. So let's say C, D, E, F, and then let's build another tetrachord from there. So the second tetrachord has to have the same pattern, and then in the middle we have to have a whole step. So a whole step, and then G, A, this is a whole step, A to B, this is another whole step, and then from B to C, this is a half step. That means we have 2 tetrachords, and then we're going to combine these 2 tetrachords by a whole step. So 1, 2, 3, 4, this is the first tetrachord. 1, 2, 3, 4, this is the second tetrachord. And then let's join them together, combine these 2 by using a whole step or a tone. And this way we have a diatonic scale. Perfect. So the major scale usually sounds brighter. It sounds bright, happy, cheerful. And the minor scale usually sounds dark, sounds a little sad, gloomy, you know, so that's kind of the difference between them. Now, every major scale has a relative minor scale. Now, why do we call them relatives? Because these 2 share the same key signature. So when you have a major scale and a minor scale and they're sharing the same key signature, then we call them relatives. So of course, because we have 3 different types of minor scales, the natural minor, the harmonic, and the melodic. But the natural is kind of similar to the major scale. Okay, now let me show you a quick example here on my piano. So let's start on C. And since we're starting on note C, this is going to be C major scale because we're starting on C. If I would start it on D, then it's a D major scale, and so on. So let's go back to C. I'll be starting here on middle C, so C major scale. Now, of course, scales should be played both hands together, like that. But I know at the beginning it's kind of hard, so you can play one hand at a time. Let's use right hand first. So whenever we play, we have this special pattern. We're going to start on middle C, and then we're going to go to the next C. Now, of course, a scale can be extended by an octave. So we can play 1 octave, 2, 3, or even 4 octaves, but then we have to go back to where we started. So let's start on middle C. After my middle finger, I'm going to bring my thumb. Let's just do 1 octave right now. One more time. After my middle finger, I'm going to bring my thumb under like that. Pretend that it's like a tunnel, and then just bring your thumb. That was ascending. Now we're going back down, descending. And then go back down. After my thumb, I'm going to cross over, use my middle finger. So that was this, the C major scale. So one more time, C major scale. After middle finger, use your thumb. After my thumb, I'm using back again my middle finger. So let's stop here for today, and we will continue next week. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!